Monday, 9:13 a.m. The meeting invite came without warning. Conference room 4B, urgent. I'd been with Valorix Systems for 9 years. Through acquisitions, crashes, pivots, my code ran the infrastructure they depended on, but rarely understood. When I walked in, Jason Hale, our new VP of Engineering, was already seated. Slick suit, no eye contact, HR rep beside him, folder ready. "Evan," Jason began, "we appreciate your contributions, but we're restructuring. Your position has been eliminated, effective immediately." I blinked once, not out of surprise, but calculation. "Nothing personal," he added with a shrug. "It's just time we modernize. We need speed, not legacy thinkers." Legacy, that was the word they always used before they gutted the system I built. The HR woman slid the folder toward me. 2-month severance, standard NDA. Return all equipment by end of day. I nodded slowly. "Can I grab my things?" Jason smiled. "Of course. We'll escort you up." 10:02 a.m. Back at my desk, I packed quietly while eyes stared at me like I was contagious. Some junior devs looked stunned. They'd learned everything from me. Others avoided looking at all. I wasn't angry, just done pretending I belonged somewhere I clearly didn't. But here's what Jason didn't know. 72 hours earlier, I'd finalized my deal with a private investment group. They were interested in acquiring a tech firm with scalable infrastructure, but wanted a CTO in place who already knew the bones of the system. I had floated Valorix as an option, subtly. They needed to see how unstable leadership might affect valuation, and Jason just gave them exactly the instability they needed. 1:45 p.m. Monday. Outside the building, I sat in my car. No tears, no panic, just a calendar reminder. Hour 1 of 72. Contact Westbridge Capital. I called Max, the lead advisor. They let me go this morning. His voice didn't waver. "Perfect, now we move." I had 3 days, 72 hours to let a company implode under its own arrogance, and then rebuild it under my name. Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. I wasn't in the Valorix building anymore, but my fingerprints were still on everything inside it. The system I built, the architecture I designed, still live, still fragile in the hands of people who didn't understand it. Jason Hale didn't fire a liability. He fired the one person who knew how not to crash the plane. 9:10 a.m. I met with Max and Lena, my contacts at Westbridge Capital, in a downtown high-rise conference room that smelled like power and espresso. They didn't waste time. "They dropped you. That gives us leverage," Lena said, unfolding a crisp proposal. "If we move by Thursday, we can lowball the offer and cite instability." Max nodded. "You'll serve as interim CTO post-acquisition and long-term CEO once transition completes. You okay with that?" I sipped my coffee and smiled. I'm more than okay. 12:05 p.m. I sent a message to 3 former team leads who I trusted, who I'd mentored, and who still worked at Valorix: Mina, DevOps Rob, Security Chase, Data Infrastructure. All messages were simple. Lunch, off-site, just want to talk, no drama. We met at a Korean BBQ place near Midtown. I didn't ask about the company. I let them vent first. Chase looked furious. "Jason's been gutting everything you built. Pushed 2 deployments without testing." Mina shook her head. "He rewrote part of the API framework yesterday, broke the monitoring system, blamed us." Rob leaned forward. "He has no idea what he's doing, but we're all locked into contracts." That's when I placed the deck on the table. Westbridge's offer, the vision, the plan. "In 48 hours, we're making a move. I want you 3 with me. Real ownership, real control." They didn't hesitate. 5:42 p.m. I got a text from a friend in legal compliance. Jason just signed a multi-year vendor contract with Grentech. $3.2 million. Didn't loop in legal. I blinked. Jason was making fast moves, maybe to cover himself, maybe to secure favor before the fallout. Either way, he was making mistakes, and mistakes leave trails. 8:03 p.m., hour 35. Westbridge finalized their letter of intent. The bid would drop 15% lower than original, citing recent leadership disruptions and critical system vulnerabilities. Jason wouldn't see it coming, because in his head, he'd already won. He saw me walk out yesterday with a box and no resistance. He thought I was gone, but I wasn't gone. I was watching the fire from a safer distance, and in less than 48 hours, I would own the ashes. Wednesday, 7:32 a.m. Valorix's internal systems began throwing errors just before sunrise. Mina had warned me. Jason had pushed a late-night code update on his own. No QA, no version control. By 8 a.m., the client portal was offline. By 8:20, automated billing failed. By 8:35, customer service queues had tripled. And by 9 a.m., the Slack channels were on fire. 9:15 a.m. I sat in a cafe across from Valorix HQ, phone buzzing with messages from current employees. Jason is losing it. He blamed DevOps, then disappeared into a meeting with finance. I think Rob just quit. I didn't gloat. This wasn't sabotage. This was what happens when a company forgets who built its foundation and who kept it standing. Jason thought I was just another engineer. He didn't understand that system architecture isn't just code. It's memory, pattern, context. And when you fire that context, everything slips. 10:06 a.m., hour 49. Max called. They're reeling. They sent out an internal crisis memo, he added. Our offer just became very attractive. They won't even argue price now. They'll thank us for stepping in. I nodded. What's the move? Shareholders meet tonight. We present the offer first thing tomorrow. 12:43 p.m. I sent one last message to someone I hadn't contacted yet. Kendra Myers, Valorix's largest private investor and one of the firm's original board members. She and my father had started in business together decades ago. I still remembered the letter she wrote me when Dad passed away. You have your father's discipline. Don't let sharks turn you bitter. I wrote her simply, Kendra, you've always cared about long-term vision. Thought you should see this before tomorrow. Attached, a PDF with all the internal failures since my exit. She replied in 11 minutes. You're right, let me make some calls. 3 p.m. Jason tried to call me. I let it go to voicemail. Hey Evan, look, we may have moved a little fast. Things are complicated right now. Maybe we should grab a drink and talk. I didn't reply. He still thought this was salvageable. He didn't know the ink on Westbridge's binding offer was already drying. 6:15 p.m., hour 59. Back at my apartment, I stared out at the skyline. I had been fired less than 3 days ago. Now the company that pushed me out was collapsing from within. Not because I attacked it, but because I stopped holding it together. Tomorrow, at exactly 72 hours, I would walk back into that building. But this time, I wouldn't need a badge. I'd have a key. Thursday, 9 a.m. Exactly 72 hours after Jason Hale fired me, I stood at the front desk of Valorix Systems, this time in a tailored Navy suit, not a hoodie and laptop bag. Reception looked up, confused. Then Max and Kendra walked in behind me, flanked by two partners from Westbridge Capital. Let's go up, Kendra said. They're expecting us. 9:10 a.m. Boardroom, 19th floor. The conference room was crowded. Jason sat at the head of the table, pale, restless. His tie was off-center. His confidence was gone. A few other executives avoided eye contact with me. I walked to the center of the room, calm, collected. Max placed a thick folder on the table. Lena slid a flash drive across. Kendra folded her hands. Let's begin. The pitch was already approved. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a transition of power. Westbridge's offer would absorb Valorix at 82 cents on the dollar, a figure 22% lower than the firm's last valuation, just 5 days ago, and they only had themselves to blame. Jason started to speak, but the chairman cut him off. We've reviewed the numbers, the infrastructure instability, client churn, and Mr. Hale's unauthorized contracts. He turned to me. Mr. Mercer, will you be staying on? I didn't hesitate. Yes, as CTO during the transition, then CEO, full oversight. No one objected. Jason slumped back in his chair. Just like that, I had the company. 11:03 a.m. Jason stopped me in the hallway as I left the boardroom. You set this up. You waited for me to slip, then pounced. I looked him in the eye. No, Jason. I gave you the keys to a Ferrari and you drove it into a wall. I just bought it at the salvage price. He stepped back, speechless. You tried to erase me in a day, I added. I rebuilt everything in 72 hours. Later that week, Mina was promoted to Vice President of Engineering. Rob took over infrastructure security. Chase led a team that redesigned the API properly. I reinstated mentorship programs, reorganized operations for long-term sustainability. I didn't punish people. I repaired the structure they broke. Valorix had been hollowed out by people chasing bonuses. Now it had leadership that actually understood the core. 1 month later, Jason posted a vague LinkedIn update about stepping back to reflect and consult. I never replied. Some stories don't need a public ending. The people who know the truth already lived it. Final reflection. I wasn't fired. I was freed. And in 72 hours, I didn't just get even. I got everything.